Shalawama, Shalawama, everybody. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Give me a second. Let me make sure the connection is good. All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. I hope y'all are doing well. Shalawama, everybody. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law. All right. So give me 1 second. Let me make sure the connection is okay. This is the book that we're going to come out of. We're going to pick up with Capricorn, okay, y'all? We're going to pick up with Capricorn. If you haven't already printed this, do print it. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of the video. We are on page 100 and page 180. The very last paragraph, page 180, the very last paragraph. All right, can y'all see it? The very last paragraph. Next time I might pull up the PDF, I'm not sure. I'm gonna get going. I'm waiting up for my other device to turn on so I can check the connection, but it's not booted up. So let's go ahead and get started. Page 180. Y'all tell y'all friends that we are doing this now, all right, that we're live. Call somebody, text, but it's better if you call them. Tell them to participate in this live stream, all right, y'all? All right, so this is, again, the chapter on Capricorn coming out of Mark, chapter 11, verse 27 through chapter 12, verse 44. And y'all might remember the caption here, call no man father. All right, this is at the beginning of the chapter. We're in the subheading Capricorn and Saturn. So we're going to deal with Saturn right now. All right, 1 second here. Let me see if I can get 1 second. I need to check the connection before we go too far. But this will give y'all time to let other people know that we are in the building and that we're live and that they should join in, okay? So give it, all right, so here we go. All right, yeah. Let me see y'all if we got a good connection or not. Before we get started, I don't wanna do this and then find out that y'all were not able to hear anything that I said, as I have had that problem before in the past. All right, so it looks like it's good. Let's see. All right, it looks good. Y'all make sure y'all like the video, all right? It really helps. It really, really helps. Okay, so here we go. Let's deal with Saturn. Let's deal with Saturn. The ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, the furthest away from the earth of all the planets visible to the naked eye. To the ancient world, Saturn marked the boundary of our planetary system, and so came to represent all boundaries and limits. Principal among these being death. Ptolemy associates Saturn with old age, when a man becomes worn down, dispirited, weak, easily offended, and hard to please in all situations, in keeping with the sluggishness of his movements. That's a citation from page 447. I'm not sure if I agree with him on this this statement about Ptolemy associates Saturn with old age, when man becomes worn down. I'm not sure if man becomes worn down in old age, y'all. That's more a function of diet and lifestyle, all right? Those symptoms or conditions that we associate with age, it's actually not age, it's diet and lifestyle that can get you worn down and sickly, all right? And everything that you associate with old age, that's diet and lifestyle. Okay, it is not age related. But anyway, he goes on to say, when a man becomes worn down, dispirited, weak, easily offended. Now, if you are privileged enough, I'm an Asian, so I'll say lucky. You're lucky enough to reach old age. By that time, you should have reached a level of consciousness where you're not easily offended, okay? Where you're not, in fact, you're hardly ever offended. Okay, if you've lived your life well in the higher self, you've learned the lessons in life. By the time you're old, if you are lucky enough to get there, you should be difficult to offend you, and you should rarely be offended. Okay, so again, this is coming from the point of view of hybrids, right? The Ptolemy pharaohs were a mixture of Greeks, okay, during that time. And that's a whole other discussion, y'all. All right, so the hybrid troglodyte Paleolithic colonist nigger, or any abbreviation you guys want to use, colonist, Paleolithic, caveman, whatever. That's his or her state of mind. That is not a Genesis chapter 2 natural man, natural woman state of mind, okay? This easily offended business as you go through life, all right? So let's keep in mind, let's look at the context. It continues, dispirited. This is also not a characteristic of a person who is lucky enough to reach old age. These people who live well, the higher self, these people are even more spirited, more excited about life. Y'all see where I'm coming from? More energetic and excited about life. Weak. These people are not weak, but they're physically and mentally strong. Easily offended. Okay, we just covered that. And hard to please in all situations. This is not a characteristic of a person who has a history and who presently lives at the level of the higher self, right? These people are easy to please. In fact, they find pleasure and satisfaction even in situations that they don't want to have. In keeping with the sluggishness of his movements, okay, this is talking about a man or a woman who have achieved old age. Again, sluggishness of his movements, that's a condition of diet, poor diet, and poor lifestyle, right? Very bad lifestyle, okay? Let's make that clear. So point of view is very important. What I see right now, if the statement about Ptolemy is correct, if this author is being honest, if this is in fact the author's personal point of view, which I have no idea, right? It would suggest to me that the Ptolemy and the author, if it's his or her point of view, are people who have lived in the realm or the level, at the level of the lower self, the majority of their lives, okay? And it is their character, to live and be in the lower self, all right? These are the negative behaviors, negative attitudes, what we would call antisocial, though they try to cover it up with, for example, being holier than thou, doing good, being religious, being morally ethical, right? Justifying the bad that they do with their morality, ethics, and religion, so on and so forth. Well, let's continue. Together with the sun, that's the S-U-N, Saturn represents the father, and alone, Saturn has rulership over the bones. I'm not sure what that means. Together with the sun sun, Saturn represents the father, and alone Saturn has rulership over the bones. Okay, Saturn has rulership over the bones. The skeletal system defines and maintains the structure of the body, giving it form and durability, and persisting even after the body's demise as a universal symbol of mortality and decay. In Greek mythology, Saturn is Chronos, time. Y'all got that? Saturn is Chronos, time, in Greek mythology. So therefore, time in Greek mythology is Chronos, is Saturn, a planet, y'all. Who decrees the limits of all things, and who stands with his scythe to announce impending death. The glyph of Saturn, or the glyph of Saturn rather, resembles the scent of Chronos when Saturn rules the soul, says Ptolemy. Okay, so let me show y'all this glyph. So this is the symbol, right? This is the abbreviated symbol of Saturn, right where my finger is. Take a look at that. But you can download this book and you can see it yourself, or you can just Google search Saturn and look at the images. All right. So let me take a look here. So in this paragraph, what I see so far being said is that Saturn gives structure and it defines the limitations or boundaries of something. Why? Because according to the author, in the ancient world, Saturn marked the boundary of the planetary system. In other words, you could not see anything past Saturn with your naked eye. Therefore, Saturn represents the limitations or boundaries. Okay, limitations or boundaries. And as far as the bones are concerned, Saturn has rulership over the bones, while the skeletal system is involved in weight bearing and also bodily movements, or what we call range of motions, right? So you have a range of motions that your joints can comfortably move within, okay? And where you maintain strength and power. And beyond that, there's an injury. So if you move beyond that range of motion, there's an injury. Or if you have an injury or an illness, it may limit the range of motion of certain joints. All right, y'all? Okay, so this is quite interesting. Okay, so y'all keep in mind just range of motion. So for example, it's very common for people to have in the West shoulder pain, right? If you have shoulder pain, you may have difficulty lifting your shoulder. That would be what? That would be what? That's right. Your range of motion would be limited. Or let's say your hip or your knee, you can't fully extend your knee, right? Or you have some pain as you try to extend it or bend it. This is a limitation in your range of motion. So this is what Saturn is, if you can get that into your mind. Saturn also, the skeletal system defines and maintains the structure of the body, giving it form and durability. So Saturn also gives things form and durability. It's toughness, right? It's toughness, it's form, it's shape, and its toughness, okay? And its limitations, all right? So there we have it with Saturn. Let's see what else may be interesting. It says here that the bones have something to do with the mortality and decay. I'm not sure about that, y'all. I mean, you all make your own decision. the science involving bones, paleo, what is it called? I don't remember. But I'm not too sure, y'all, if these ancient bones really exist. Maybe these ancient bones really do exist. Maybe they do become putrefied or whatever the word is. I don't know. Biological matter tends to decay and deteriorate, and it tends to be consumed. Okay. Now I know that in science, they give you all of these elaborate explanations as to the environmental conditions that can be present that can cause biological material such as a bone to be preserved. But I'm not sure if I buy that, because I would have to actually see that myself. I would have to observe the process, see it for myself from start to finish. And I don't know of anybody who's lived that long. Okay, because I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know the people who own and operate and lead the academic institutions, who are responsible for the content of the books that you read and study out of in those institutions, and who are responsible for promulgating those theories. I know they're all parts of secret societies, and they're all working as a team to push and convince me and everybody else of evolution. Okay, y'all got me? And so they're going to provide whatever evidence, whatever facts they need, and the theories to support whatever it is that they want you to believe. They're going to put it there, be it true or false, or 50% true, or 10% true, or absolutely no truth in it at all. And we know this for a fact. There's evidence of fake science, especially in that area of science, well, especially in anthropology, paleontology. I think that's what it's called, paleontology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's ripe with lies, false evidence, right? False findings. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. Also, Chronos in Greek mythology, Chronos is a deity, Chronos is time. So time has been what? Time has been given. Time, of course, is not, time is a concept. It's a mental construct, all right? Time is a mental construct. It's not something that you can taste, touch, see, feel, or experience with your physical senses. So they did what? They made something living out of a concept, right? This is called anthropomorphism. I may be messing that word up, y'all, but y'all know what I'm talking about, all right? Next paragraph on page 181. The Ptolemy says the following. Let me read it again. When Saturn rules the soul, says Ptolemy. Now, y'all remember, soul here is S-O-U-L. So this is a problem. This is a big problem. Were the Ptolemy pharaohs reigning at the time when Christianity had its beginning? Or were they reigning before? Was the Ptolemy dynasty before the Christian era? Here's why I'm saying it. Because it was the Catholic Church who created the concept of a soul, S-O-U-L, that survives death. Soul in Latin is S-O-L. It was the Catholic Church who threw that U in there. They threw a U in there. And then they push the story that you have this soul that survives death. And you either go to heaven or hell based upon how closely you follow the Catholic religion. In other words, the Catholic Church did this. You live your life by doing everything we tell you to do. Okay, that's their religious doctrine. All right, New Testament religious doctrine. And then if you don't do it, well, guess what, buddy? That soul that you have inside of you, it's going to go burn in hell forever. Okay? But if you do it, you're going to go to heaven. And you're going to live like a king. You're going to rule as priests and kings and whatever else they might tell you about heaven. I don't remember anymore. I'm so far removed from the religious mindset and these dogmas. Okay? But that's what they did. So now this is a problem because the author here is saying that Ptolemy made a statement about a S-O-U-L. Well, that S-O-U-L did not exist at that time. Okay, so let's read it again. When Saturn rules the S-O-U-L, the soul, says Ptolemy, he makes his subjects lovers of the body. Saturn makes his subjects lovers of the body, strong-minded, deep thinkers, austere, of a single purpose, laborious, dictatorial, ready to punish, lovers of property, avaricious, violent, amassing treasure, and jealous. Now, remember, Ptolemy, or the Ptolemy pharaohs, according to history, and see, I hope y'all realize right now something about me. I don't accept history as being true. Okay, I question all of it. I question all of it. All right. Most of it, in my opinion, most of it is just made up stuff. All right, to create the world paradigm that the Catholic Church and its nation states, armies, etc., want the masses of people to believe, to keep them in or within the boundaries of the paradigm that they want them to live in so that they can control them. Y'all got that? You got it? It's my personal opinion based upon my research. All right, based upon my experience. I know my enemy. I know my enemy. And they rule through storytelling. Okay, and through grammar rules. All right, through psychic attacks, through making people believe things that aren't really there. And how do you do it? You put it in writing. You show it on a TV screen. Put it in a textbook. All right, you have academics write scholarly articles about it, create evidence, right? Plant evidence, create artifacts for people to find. Okay, these are magicians, wizards in the worst way. All right. Anyway, again, when Saturn rules the soul, says Ptolemy, and y'all think about this. So if the Ptolemy pharaohs were half Egyptian and half Greek, or if they were even all Greek, okay, by bloodline, is this the mindset of an Egyptian? Listen, y'all. Is this a mindset of an Egyptian? Think about what the Egyptians, how they lived, what they did, how they went civilizing people, etc. They They didn't wage war against people. All right. Y'all can go back and Dr. Walter Williams talks about the Egyptians and how they never had armies. They didn't need them. Okay. When Saturn rules the soul, says Ptolemy, Saturn makes his subjects lovers of the body. Now, what does lovers of the body mean? Is that talking about you love to eat well, take care of your body, right? Treat it as a temple? Or is that talking about someone who wants to use the body only for sex and in sex rituals? He makes his subjects lovers of the body. In other words, you are lusting after both men and women. Strong-minded. Now, strong-minded, does that mean determined? Or does that mean egotistical, narcissistic? Deep thinkers, austere. Does that mean you're rude, nasty to people? You don't care about how they feel? They said the Christ figure was austere, right? Of a single purpose. Now that's admirable, right? Of a single purpose, that's admirable. That's what you need to have to be successful in life. Laborious, dictatorial. Now that's not admirable, is it? To be dictatorial? To dictate to others what you want. And then, of course, if you don't get it, you know what the dictator does, right? Ready to punish. Okay? Ready to punish. Does that sound like the Catholic Church, the nation states, especially in the West, y'all? Have they ever had any mercy on you? Have they ever gave you a break? Okay, ready to punish, although they're Christians, right? Ready to punish, but they're Christians and they're supposed to be what? Showing love. But they harass you with their legal system, don't they? Jaywalking tickets, ticket you because of your bike, pull you over, ticket you, shoot you down in the street, break up your families, take your children away under the disguise of wanting to help the child, all that BS, which is also unlawful. Lovers of property, does that mean materialistic? Or does that mean you love what the Most High has given you? Violent, amassing treasure. Well, how did you get it? Did you get it through violence, stealing, deceit? Notice this, and jealous, and jealous. So does this sound like Egyptian culture? Y'all? Does that sound like higher self culture, higher consciousness? Or does this sound like lower self type of mindset and behavior? Anyway, let's continue. The above gives Ptolemy's view of the Saturnarian influence when Saturn's position in the horoscope is dignified. So I don't know what that means, y'all. How is Saturn's position in the horoscope dignified? His list of epithets for an unfavorable position is even more colorful. However, Ptolemy's favorable list shows us quite clearly how the planet Saturn has viewed or was viewed as a malign and sinister influence in the ancient world. The Lord of Capricorn, who crystallizes all things into form and holds them together by force, is himself the symbol of their inevitable collapse. So y'all see what's being said here? JC, the Christ figure, is a Capricorn. The Catholic Church, okay, behaves exactly as we're reading. Lovers of body, right? Homosexuality, sex rituals, eating people, strong-minded, right? Narcissistic, they just gonna take your stuff. Deep thinkers, how are they deep thinkers? Deep thinking in the negative. Deep thinking in ways to put you in slavery, i.e. physical, mental slavery, black codes, okay? Get you to participate in your own demise, tricking you to think that you're helping yourself, okay? Or tricking you into thinking only about yourself and what you want, to the detriment of even your own babies. Y'all got me? So this is talking about the Catholic Church and Christianity, its attitude, right? So this takes us back to the devil's pulpit, how the devil's pulpit talked about the hidden bad morality expressed in the New Testament. Y'all go back and watch those videos. Remember? For example, the unrighteous judge, okay? The woman went to the judge to get justice. The judge would not acknowledge her until she began to what? Bug him to death. And because she bugged him to death, he decided that he would do something in her favor, not with respect or consideration of providing justice, but he would rule in her favor so that she would leave him alone and he could get back to his easy life. Y'all remember that? He didn't care anything about justice. He just cared about him being able to relax and getting this woman to leave him alone. Same thing with the unrighteous steward. Y'all remember that from the devil's pulpit? The unrighteous steward, okay? What he did was unrighteous, but yet he was praised. He was praised for it. Y'all go back and read that stuff, okay? So let's continue. All of this is Christianity. Remember, Christ is born December 25th. It's Capricorn, okay? Catholic Church had its beginning. So we're looking at the character, the real character of the Catholic Church, all of its nation states and corporations, okay? And also the hybrid troglodyte, Paleolithic colonist niggers, okay? And they're colonists no matter where they go, right? Because they don't have a home. They were not given a land allotment. Paleolithic because they lived in caves. So these are the Neanderthals, right, y'all? So let's continue. It is important to realize that the SUN sun's entry into Capricorn in December marks another reversal of direction. We'll repeat that. It is important to realize that the sun's entry into Capricorn in December marks another reversal of direction. In Cancer, the northerly sun began to move south. In Capricorn, it reaches its southerly limit and begins its movement northward. Now remember, y'all, Capricorn, this is when the sun is at its lowest declination or its lowest point in the southern part of space, right? So it reaches its lowest point, and now it only has one choice but to go up. So up is northern, all right? So let's continue. In Cancer, all right, so in Cancer, the northerly sun began to move south. Why? Because when the sun is at its zenith, it can't go any higher, so it begins to do what? Fall, move southward. It begins to fall, move southward. This is why the fall is called autumn, okay? This is why the fall becomes autumn. The sun reaches its highest point in the southern sky, in the northern sky, and then it begins to fall down, right? Toward autumn, or fall is autumn. Y'all got it? This is all he's saying. In Cancer, the northerly sun began to move south. Okay, so this is sometime around June 23rd of every year. The sun is at its zenith. This is when the sun is called the Christ, right? The sun is called the Christ. It reaches its highest point in the north, and then it has no other option but to go downward or south. Okay, so summer is moving toward becoming fall. Okay, sun is falling. All right. In Cancer, the northerly sun began to move south. In Capricorn, the sun reaches its southerly limit and begins its movement northward. In other words, it's springing up, right? The sun is springing up. Okay, so the next season following winter, what is what? Spring. The sun is springing upward. Okay, springing upward. Okay, so let's continue. This was always a time of rejoicing amongst ancient peoples of the northern hemisphere. And the Romans celebrated Saturnalia, named in honor of Capricorn's ruling planet, between the 17th and the 23rd of December. So Saturnalia holiday that the Romans celebrated falls between December 17th and 23rd. It was a time when the customary roles were reversed. Masters and servants changing places, for example. And when the moral conventions were relaxed a little. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? So June 23rd of every year, the sun begins to fall southward, right? Fall southward, and then eventually we reach the season called fall. The sun continues falling further southward until it falls to its maximum southern point in the sky, which is somewhere around December 22nd, 23rd, okay? Now the sun will reverse its movement and start to spring upward, to ascend, moving toward the next season, which is called springtime. So this is what the reversal, or the celebration of reversal, the reversal of the sun falling southward. When the sun is falling southward, it gets cold, it's starting to get cold. Eventually it gets to be freezing. The dark hours of the day increase until they reach their maximum, okay? And the daylight hours decrease until they reach their maximum, which is December 22nd, 23rd, all right? So in other words, nighttime dominates, okay? Nighttime is beginning to dominate. The sun is overtaken by nighttime hours, and there's nothing the sun can do about it. Why? Because it's the natural law. So now that becomes reversed. Now the sun will spring forward, it will ascend northward. And the Romans celebrated this springing forth, the ascension of the sun northward. They called that holiday Saturnalia. They recognized it on December 17th through December 23rd. During this time, the roles of people in society, remember Capricorn, there's a rigid hierarchy in society. So those people who were servants and slaves would become the master. And those people who were masters or slave owners would take on the role as the servant or the slave, representative of giving honor to nature. Giving honor to nature. Let's continue. It was a time when the customary roles were reversed. Masters and servants changed places, for example. And when the moral conventions were relaxed a little. So in other words, masters became slaves, slave owners became slaves, slaves became masters and slave owners, okay? The morality of that time were relaxed. Y'all got it? Morality. That means you can have sex with anybody, you can rob somebody, you can kill somebody. Okay? Why? Because the morality was no longer in place. You could do the reverse. So if the moral standards was for you to not kill, okay, during this time you can kill. Everything's reversed. Y'all got it? If the moral standard is don't steal, okay, during Saturnalia, you can steal. Y'all got it? You can beat people up. In other words, all of the things that are considered socially, things that we should do socially, or whatever, let's say the law, okay, it's time to break the law. It's time to do antisocial stuff. During Saturnalia, this was an homage to nature. But this is a deprived mind to think that way. Y'all got it? This is a lower level, lower self mentality to think and behave that way. Okay? And then to justify it based in nature. Y'all see the difference between Genesis chapter 2, man, and Genesis chapter 1, mankind? Genesis chapter 1, mankind, the Roman is depraved, depravity, violent, at the level of a beast. Okay? Whereas Genesis chapter 2, man, we acknowledge natural law and we don't harm anybody. See the difference? Okay? Note the difference and never forget that difference. We are not the same. Although they may look the same and smile at you and pretend to be morally upright, you better remember their history, and people don't change. Okay? In other words, break the spell. Okay? The tradition survives today in the office party on a, wow, let me read that again. The tradition survives today in the office party on a more exalted level. This reversal relates to the idea of a shift in value, a turning away from the values of the outer world to those within. Well, there you go. In other words, you can do whatever you desire to do. So the lower self-desire would be to act animalistic, right? That's in them. But even Genesis chapter 2, men and women, I don't see us acting animalistic, you know, wanting to kill, unless we've been socialized that way by the troglodyte. Okay? So there's a big difference, y'all, between us and them. We have nothing in common. On a more exalted level, this reversal relates to the idea of a shift in value, a turning away from the values of our outer world to those within. In one sense, it is a reawakening of the personal. That's quoting from Wright, page 160. Among the Jews, Capricorn was said to be the emblem of the tribe of Naphtali. But Jacob's description, Naphtali, is a hind let loose. That's Genesis chapter 49, 21. It's hardly ambiguous. So in other words, Jacob said that Naphtali is a hind let loose. Okay, there's no confusion about that. Naphtali is a hind let loose. Okay, clear as day. Nothing to guess about. And some have claimed Benjamin or Reuben for Capricorn. However, there seems little doubt that the Jewish people as a whole have affinity with Capricorn and with Saturn. And then there's a footnote. Charles Carter writes. Now, y'all keep in mind, Jewish people, this is referring to a religion, not a bloodline of people. It is referring to a religion, not a nation. Why? Because any person, anybody from any country, from any family, can change their religion and become Jewish. The House of Yasharala is a bloodline. You have to be born in the family. You have to be born in the family. Okay? We were given a land allotment. It is recorded as the promised land. We have a common language, a common culture. We have a common way of doing commerce. Okay? We are a nation. Jewish people, it is a religion. We're the House of Yasharala by bloodline, by contract, by constitution. Okay? By contract, covenant, constitution with the Most High. They are a religion, something they made up. Okay? Religions are not nations. Nationality is not a religion. Make the difference. Jacob said Naphtali is a hind let loose. Okay? The Jewish people also believe that Benjamin or Reuben can be Capricorn. So Benjamin can be Capricorn, Reuben can be Capricorn, and Naphtali can be Capricorn. But again, Jacob said that Naphtali is a hind let loose, whereas Capricorn is what? Half goat and half fish. So there's a problem with that. That's why the author is saying that there's no ambiguity there. Jacob said Naphtali is a hind let loose, not a fish and a goat in one body. Okay? Let's read this quote by Charles Carter. This is a footnote on page 181. The Jewish Sabbath is Saturday. Saturday is Saturn's day. We noted earlier that Judaism was born when the equinoctial point entered the constellation Aries. Aries is the ram, y'all. And there is no doubt that Aries imagery of a ram. In other words, there's no doubt that the symbolism used for the constellation Aries is a ram, goat, sheep. Okay? Sacrifices and circumcision play a major role in the liturgical practices of Judaism. Okay, we went through that extensively in the devil's pulpit. All right, these sacrifices. But the other cardinal signs, so the cardinal signs, these would be what? The solstices and the equinoxes. Okay, the solstices and the equinoxes. All right. But the other cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, feature prominently in the development of Judaism. Okay, so here we see astrology in Judaism, prominently in Judaism. Okay, y'all got it? So Cancer is the summer solstice. Capricorn is the winter solstice. If you draw a line from Capricorn to Cancer, what are you going to get? You're going to get a straight line, right? Cancer at the extreme opposite end of the line from Capricorn. Well, guess what? Cancer is the Christ. Cancer is the Christ, the higher self thought and behavior. Capricorn is what? Satan the devil. Capricorn is at the opposite end of the Christ. Therefore, Capricorn is the opposite or the opposer. The devil, evil, wicked, bad, all lower self behavior. Aries, spring, the spring or vernal equinox, happening sometime around March 19th or 21st or 22nd. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. Justice. Justice. No sin. Equity, equality. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. Okay? Christ is in the temple. Draw a straight line, a straight horizontal line. That'll take you into the fall. This is the autumn equinox. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. There's no inequalities. There is no injustice. There is justice and there is peace. There's equality, equity. These are the cardinal zodiac signs, okay? Only at the equinoxes is there justice, is there peace. Why? Because there's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, so everything is equal. There's no unevenness. There's no inequity. There is no sin. Whereas when the sun is at its highest point in Cancer, somewhere around June 23rd, the number of daylight hours are at their maximum. So there is injustice. Y'all got it? You have something like what? How many hours of daylight compared to night? How many nighttime hours are there in around June 23rd? Very low, right? It's the shortest number of nighttime hours. So therefore it is inequity. Y'all got it? It is inequity, unevenness. All right. This is where the concept of righteousness comes from. And the concept of sin. They are astrological in nature. Okay, y'all got it? Okay, so these concrete natural phenomena have been remixed into religious doctrine, inequity and sin. Okay, and remixed into law as justice. Okay, so concrete translated or rendered into the abstract. Let's continue what this guy, Charles Carter, is saying. But the other cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, feature prominently in the development of Judaism. Libra, the polar opposite of Aries, we just went through that, is the sign of the covenants and the law. Okay, Libra is the sign of the covenants and the law. Well, guess what? So is Aries. So is Aries. So this is where you guys refer back to the devil's pulpit. This is where you get Jacob and Boaz, I believe, right? So springtime, there's a covenant in the springtime. Okay, so there's a covenant of labor in the springtime where you need to work, you need to start preparing your field, your water sources, your irrigation, everything you need to start preparing for your farming and harvest. In the fall, the autumn equinox, this is the covenant of what? Peace. This is where grace comes in. Well, now, hey, you got a lot of food. You have so much food, you can even give some away. You can make all the wine you want and stir a lot of it up for the winter, okay? Take 10% of your seeds, stir them up so you can have something to plant in the spring. The Catholic Church took that idea of saving 10% of your seeds and said, wait a minute, no, you need to cough up 10% of your income, your money, and pay me a tithe, a tax. So they remixed it. This is the origin of tithing. This is the religious remix of culture. the way we behave, when we are in harmony with nature, we save 10% of the seeds so we can save them. Catholic Church says, remix that. I need 10% of your money so you can continue to be in good relations with the Tetragrammaton and the Christ figure. Y'all got that? Remix. All coming from natural phenomena. All astrotheology, all astrology. Let's continue. Okay, Cancer, the sign of home, diet, and mother. Y'all note that. Cancer, the sign of home, diet, and mother. Home, diet, and mother. Your nation, your family. Okay? Your nation, your family. Your estate. Your estate. Your estate. Cancer, the sign of home, diet, and mother, the sign of your estate, of which you are the trustee and the beneficiary. Right? You pass it from one generation to another. This is where law, common law, nature, and nature's creator. That's that realm. Capricorn. Let me start again. Cancer, the sign of home, diet, and mother. Right? This is Genesis chapter 2. And Capricorn, the sign of duty, social responsibility, and the father. I would say, no, it is not. Capricorn is the administrative state, administrative law, the Catholic Church, the corporate state, the law of the sea. Cancer. Cancer is also the sign of the mother and the father. Cancer is also the sign of duty. And responsibility. Now, of course, that's my opinion, based upon everything I've read so far, and based upon what I know about nature and natural law. Okay. Capricorn is the administrative state. It is Christianity. It is maritime law. It is the dead. It is the dead. Therefore, Cancer would have to be what? The realm of the living. Y'all got that? Because they're opposites, polar opposites. Y'all got it? All right. Let's continue. While Libra is the sign which symbolizes the law's origin and purpose. Capricorn symbolizes the law's operation and enforcement. And in parentheses, it says legalism. It doesn't say law, legalism. Note what it says next. Talking about Capricorn. Capricorn symbolizes the law's operation and enforcement, semicolon, or the explanation. To clarify, legalism, concern for the letter of the law, is therefore Capricornian. Similarly, while Christianity is a Piscean religion, that's Pisces, right? It also relates clearly to the other mutable signs, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Christianity emphasizes virginity and celibacy. Therefore, it's like the Virgin or Virgo. Christianity elaborates, well, let me rephrase that. Christianity is elaborate and it is divisive. It's elaborate and divisive theology is Geminian or Gemini. Okay? as are the letters which constitute a good portion of the Christian scriptures. Now, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? How many Christians can you put in a room and they all agree on the doctrine? They're all going to disagree about the doctrine, right? This person says they got the truth. The other Christian says they got the truth. The Catholics say they got the truth. The Mormons say they got the truth. The Hebrew Israelite camp leader says he got the truth. All divided, right? All divided. This is Gemini. This is Gemini. Divisive. Christianity is divisive. This is a pretty great example of that, of the divisive theology of Christianity. If Christianity brought people together, there would be no or very few divisions. There'd be no or very few arguments about doctrine. But as it is, there's thousands of denominations of Christianity. Christians fight and argue and debate over doctrine and theology all the time. Right? All the time. So this is a part of Christianity. I agree with the author 100% here. The author says again, Christianity's emphasis on virginity and celibacy are Virgo. Christianity's elaborate and divisive theology is Gemini. Okay? And what else does the author say is Gemini? The New Testament itself, all those letters that make up the New Testament, these are Gemini. Okay? It says here, as are the letters which constitute a good portion of the Christian scriptures. And he ends that sentence with an exclamation point. This is on page 182 at the bottom in the footnote. Okay? And its missionary zeal is Sagittarian. And there's a word here I do not know. Let me look this up. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me look this word up. It's always a good, you need to develop. I don't know what level of, I don't know how well you guys are educated or what your discipline is, but always look up words. Okay, always look up words that you do, especially those words that you don't know. Okay, words that you're unsure of, look them up. And then every now and then, just look up a word, even though you're pretty sure you know it. And ain't no shame in having to look up words. Okay? Because sometimes you forget. Let's see. Sacerdotal, system or spirit. Okay? The methods or spirit of the priesthood. All right. So the author is saying that the method of the priesthood is Gemini. It's divisive. It's elaborate and divisive. The methods of the priesthood are elaborate and divisive. The spirit of the priesthood is elaborate and divisive. Okay? In a bad sense, priestcraft. So here we go back into the black priesthood or the dark priesthood that we talk so much about in the devil's pulpit. Y'all remember that? The black magic, the chanting, okay? And all of this chanting, all of these hymns, all of the rituals that you do in these churches are meant to give that priest, pastor, reverend, imam, rabbi, complete control over your mind. Go back and read it in the devil's pulpit. Or watch the videos where I did it and I went through all of this extensively. I'm going to close it out here, y'all. I don't want the video to go more than an hour. I don't know how long we've been going, y'all. So listen up. If you're benefiting from what I'm doing here, I would very much like for you to support our project to write the book of the law in Ibaryath in English, and the English will say exactly what the text says in the Ibaryath, which is the original language. It'll be a faithful rendering, a faithful translation. We're going to tell it all. Also remove all of the dogma, all of the mythology, all of the Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences, all the lies. We're going to remove it all and tell the truth about what these verses say. I'm going to show it to you. For y'all, for those of y'all who don't know what Jeremiah 8 verse 8 says, there Jeremiah is warning us that our ancestors wrote lies in the book of the law, wrote lies in the Bible. Okay, he says it clearly, and they use those lies to establish religions. Okay, so you go back and you can study it. All right, so how do I know all of this stuff? Because I teach ancient Ibaryath, which is the original language that our ancestors spoke and wrote, not biblical Hebrew. Our ancestors didn't know anything about biblical Hebrew or modern Hebrew. That's all made up stuff. Okay, so if you like what I do and you want to learn how to become independent, nature requires you to be independent, to depend on yourself. No savior, only you. Only you. Okay? Without these skills, you are dependent upon the Bible translators. You don't know if they're telling you the truth or not, but I can guarantee you that they're not, because I know. I know for a fact. So there's no excuse for anybody who hears this video or who even doesn't hear this video not to respond to my request for you guys to support me. Send your fiat to the Cash App or PayPal, okay? Because this costs money. It costs fiat, not money, it costs fiat to do this, y'all. Whether you have a US Federal Reserve note, Mexican peso, Filipino peso, Vietnam dong, Thailand baht, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, whatever currency you're using, support this work so that we can get the book of the law written. It's a shame and an embarrassment that we don't have our own book of the law right now. Okay, I'm sure people are laughing at us, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is that we're suffering because of it. So y'all stand up like men and women. Genesis chapter 2. Support the project. Support the project so that I can have the time to do it. It's not a 1 month or even 6 month project. Not at all. This is a long-term project. And I need other people to help me to do it. And I need to make purchases to do it. So I need y'all support. I'm Dr. DrYasapa from Zion Law School. Islam to all of the Moors. Shalawama to the entire House of Yasharala. Visit me any Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're welcome to come to our course, our live online course, 506 The Curses course. Or you can subscribe to our streaming online course, 101 Ancient Ibaryath. The links to everything is in the description area of this video. Y'all go out and buy my books, give them as gifts. Make sure you have it in your library and in your children's library. Stand up, man and woman.